if you will set up your chair, you don't have to have your mat down. I just didn't pick mine up because it was there to begin with. But I have to tell you that in my own personal practice, this is a movement that I start with because of its limbering ability, um, the freeing up aspect of the hip flexor and the quad. So, and your objective is how, how do you get your foot on your chair and your knee on your pillow? So I just showed you, I just demonstrated two different things. If you have enough balance to stick your foot back and guide yourself down, that's one way. What's really important here is, depending on how intense your stretch feels right here, couple of things to consider. Is the base that you're trying to rest your foot on too high? Is your knee pad too low, right? Do you need to build it up just to free you up so you're not fighting? How far back is your knee tucked? Right? Because if your knee is directly down off the chair line, you're not going to be able to get your shoulders pulled back. So these are all things that we have to consider as you're setting up. And you're going to be here for a couple minutes. So this other foot, it's slightly wide. We need our body to be able to have some space to float down into, okay? So we're not even going to worry about the pelvic tilt yet. I just want you, do you feel okay? Take your body, go into your forward push. Let your hands come down on the inside of that front leg. The thoracic spine stretch is that stretch that's going to go across our upper middle back. So opposite hand to that front foot stays on the floor. It frees up the other arm for the big stretch. Bring the arm down. Start shoving your hips back towards that high foot. And in the process of you doing that, your leg straightens and now you're getting a hamstring stretch. You can rock the toes up on this extended leg. You can allow your butt to touch that foot. What I want you to try to do is to not let the fingers come to fingertips. So that will really help determine how straight this leg gets, okay? And whether or not you're in pointed toe or flexed foot. Draw your body forward, pull yourself up, and now, as you come back, I want you to start your pelvic tilt. As soon as you pelvic tilt, it changes the ball game. There's that quadricep stretch. If it's intense and you feel like it's like ripping off the bone, right? The muscle is like being separated from the bone, then you need to build your knee base up. Again, take the whole body, drive it forward. There's your nice little adductor stretch, hands to floor. They're lined up with the arch, right? Free hand is the arm that goes with that front leg. Get the shoulders out of the ears. So the stretch can go so many more places. Imagine reaching the hand back, grabbing your foot that's on the chair, right? How do you do that? Drive the hips back, look at your foot, say, come here, little foot. So these are all options. Push back, pull yourself into your pelvic tilt. Now, since we're in our pushback, this is the last few seconds we're going to hold on this leg. I want you to try to take this crease line. See how my body's like all angled and it looks jagged and not clean? You're going to clean up your line, which is going to require you to pull that front foot back a little bit, zip and tuck, raise the arm that goes with the back leg, take your body, tip it a little bit away from the floor. Oof, bigger stretch. Keep pulling up. And as you release out of it, do you want to stand up and switch legs, or do you just want to put your hands down, knees on pillow, and sweep the other leg forward? It's up to you. You might have one leg, right, of those two that you're just so much more limber in. The goal or the key here is not to think that you need to get your hips to touch your foot. If your hips are touching the foot and this body is in a crease line, then though you might be feeling the stretch, you've got all of the focus on the wrong parts of you. Pull your hips in line with the knee on the bottom. The front foot is a little bit wide. Your but the front foot needs to be forward, right? Because if you have your front foot too close to you, then when you come down into your thoracic spine stretch, your body's all hung up. So stride out, take your hip line, press through the stretch. Now is when you're going to get the hip flexor stretch a little bit higher than the quad. Opposite hand to the floor, shoulders out of the ears, nice full rotation. You can look up at that high hand. If you can't see your high hand or you're not able to use the arm to its full length, put your hand on the shoulder and twist. Bring the arm down. Keep your hands firmly planted, walking them back, but still flat hands. So don't go to just your fingertips. See how much your hamstring will let you stretch. Walk it forward, pull your abs in, start realigning your body. Everything comes up, and you're going to fix the crimpedness, right? Zip and tuck. Right? Keep squeezing. Belly up and in. Press forward. Down you go. Opposite hand reaches for the ceiling. Now, do you want to go there? Are you going to stay here? Or are you going to shove the hips back? Look at your foot. Can you see your foot? Can you touch your foot? Right? Can you tell your foot to come along for the ride? If you're able to get your foot, then you just try to really get a handle on it. Sometimes in the process of you getting your limbs, you find that you kind of cramp up in other places. Release the foot, pulling your body back up, go into your full, so the leg comes back to get your line a little bit better, clean it up. The arm that goes with that trailing leg, reach it up, tip the body a little bit away. Once we get up, we're ready to move, okay? Believe it or not. Zipping, 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 release and relax. There have been times when I've shared with you the types of mobility work and stretching. Move your chair, move your mat. We're going to get our feet going. So, this movement that we just did is something I would do after my pickleball, right? Um, if you're trying to figure out where do you put something like that into an equation of you having an active body, because I get to spend a significant amount of time with you all, right? Um, I always feel like my body is pretty much ready for any activity I want to do. And when I show up for pickleball, there's generally some waiting around. And in that waiting around, instead of me sitting there, waiting to get on the court, is why I walk around. I use the little jungle gym there. It's not a jungle gym for adults, it's the playground. But I find a way to use the playground and just keep my body moving, nothing aggressive. But instead of doing static state stretching, I would consider that. Almost static state, right? It was a little bit of a flow, but we were holding things long enough that that's not a stretch that I would do if I was looking for my muscles to have reactionary, okay? Um, Quickness. Open legs, give me a little tap, push, push. So getting back to the gifts that my sister gives me, this is on my there are some things that have been on my agenda, right? That when I put the email out to you all about did you make resolutions, right? Your resolutions don't necessarily have to be health related. Some of my resolutions sweep side to side. My resolutions were, I have things that are on my radar that when I see these things, it they remind me that they're sitting there unattended to. Point in case, this lovely little pendant that I was unable to wear, but yet I knew that if my sister knew that I was wearing it, she would get joy from it. As every time I look in my jewelry box and I see it sitting there, something that I can't wear, it makes me go, "Ah, I need to handle that." So those are some of the things that I put on my resolutions for this year. Come up, alternating arm, up and over, give me the leg tap, was to just start handling these little tasks that every time I see them, they kind of make me feel like, oh man, why am I procrastinating on that? So my sister sent me another gift again for my birthday several years ago. A beautiful, she had a custom made robe for me. There's more story. Give me hamstring pulls. But she couldn't actually, she didn't know my size, right? So, so she sends me the information of this woman who makes these garments, and the woman has a website. So I get this email that says, you have a gift waiting for you, right? Come peruse the website and see like what you like. And it's it's more lingerie than it is anything. And so I'm like looking at it going, I don't wear that stuff. So, but I did find that, oh, this woman makes really pretty robes. So I go through all of the fabrics, right? And I pick my robe, relax, shake it out. I pick the fabric, which then leads me into a whole nother series of questions. What size are you? Right? And it gives very specific directions on how to measure. Except I'm trying to measure myself, like what's my arm length? How big do I, like how long do I want the garment? Shake it out. So I didn't really know what was going to happen when I finally received the product. It came. We're not talking about like a terry cloth robe. It's satin and silk, and it's lined. It hangs really pretty. Shake it. So I get the robe out of the box and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to love to spend time in this. I put it on and it doesn't fasten. It has a belt, but it like it's like 2 inches small. I think it's 2 inches small, right? Because when you put it on you, it doesn't wrap. And then when I tie the belt, like it's open, it's separated. So this is something that has been in my closet. Hopefully you're feeling like your body has a little spring. I'm bobbing. My heels are not even touching the floor. We're just bringing our heart rate up a little bit. So every time I open my closet, I have moved this thing to the back of my closet. It's been moved to the front of my closet. Every now and again, I pull it out, I put it on, and I'm going, could I just like use it the way it is? And I reject that and I put it back. So finally, shake it out, grab your light dumbbells. I thought I need to take that. Certainly, you know, a seamstress, alteration person, it came with a very long belt. And I thought, okay, they're going to find a way to incorporate that belt and either make an extra little piece that attaches across the bodice, or she's going to find like some way to like put a hook and eye in there. I don't know. But that's on my next to do. So much so that I refuse to buy a robe that I can just, you know, throw on because I have this beautiful robe that needs attention. Because I thought if I ever buy a robe that to replace this one, then I'll end up having thrown hundreds of dollars away. So here's my sister's gift. Pull it up. So the gift value, this is the funny part of the story. When I find squeezing shoulder blades, now, though you might not be able to tell because the shirt is kind of blousy, it's really important that you don't let your middle body drive forward, right? So just if you want to walk around your space, actually moving your body, you will be less inclined to drive the hips forward when the arms move back if you just start walking with this move. And the arms should be starting to get heavy. If you've got a bum shoulder, just do the arm. That feels good, right? 4 more. So the funny part of the story is that I get this gift, right? It has a dollar value to it. And of course, there's nothing on the website, Hinge and Release. There aren't any garments that this woman makes that are actually the value of what the gift is. So when I ordered this robe, I then had to pay extra. And then when I got it, it still doesn't fit. And that's how my sister gives gifts. It's the most hilarious thing. I just know whenever I get something from her that it's going to cost me money. Now, hold. Okay, so if you've brought yourself back into your stance position, one foot, place the other foot right in front of the other if you can. Elbows are high, squeeze the buns. Can you just gently draw those elbows to touch? You may not be able to get your elbows to touch. Do your very bestest. And just to reiterate, if you find that you've got a shoulder that does not want to participate, you literally take that one out of the equation. But as soon as you drop that arm, you might find a whole different position of balance needed in order for you, since you're not having both arms doing the same thing. Now, keep the elbows to touch. Pull your dumbbells off your shoulders, close the space, okay? Walk around. So elbows are touching, what your dumbbells are probably touching. Take yourself around your space. Remember which leg you had where, which is the tricky part. And now switch feet. All right. So, though you can't see my face, that's a good thing. Squeeze, zip everything into a nice straight line. Try to not let the elbows separate. Press up. The elbows are going to want to separate. The fatigue should be starting to happen in the fronts of the shoulders, kind of like where the biceps and shoulder line attach. And now give me 4 more. Navel to spine, nice strong legs. 3, 2, separate, release, relax. We're going to get our feet moving again. If you need a drink, grab it. Do you have your jump rope? Do you have a ball handy? Right? Maybe you've got a couple little stairs that you feel like you could stand at the base of your stair and you could do step ups and down, right? Here we go, front and back. So we're all working from a little imaginary stair. Push, push back. If you don't feel like the impact is like comfortable for your body, then walk around or sit down. Okay, you can sit and rest for a few seconds. Can you switch to the other leg leading? Here we go. Push, pull, push, pull. Just as soon as you drive yourself forward, we're trying to pull back. But when you pull back, right, we want the feet to end up on the same line, both in front and back. Don't let one foot override the step. 4 more. 3, 2, release, relax. Back to your dumbbells. Lightweight. You can go as heavy as you want, but we're taking this into triceps. 2 different versions of tricep, overhead extension, followed up with tricep kickbacks. So the arms are up. Pick your dominant leg. As you press up, I'm going to just give you a little pointer, and then you're going to identify whether or not you're doing it. When you extend your arms, You want to push up with your pinky edge of your hand and not let the wrist rock and have the thumbs pointed up. Okay, so try to keep the wrist neutral, push the dumbbells into each other, and drive the arms up with the pinky edge reaching for the ceiling, because we want the dumbbells to end up, hold it, flush. So if you had your mirror, you'd be looking to see, are your hands doing that? Or could you rest something across the top of your bells? That's your full line. Hinge and push. Inhale down, exhale up. Push, squeeze your buns. Press it up. Give me one more. Now, as you bring it down, go into your crouched position. Ones, threes, fives. You could probably handle fives. Okay. Shoulder blade retraction. You're in tabletop spine. Really get your arms around your lats and take that full push. The same thing applies. The thumbs want to reach for you. Try to keep your wrists so that you're driving the weight through the pinky edge. Try not to rock the hands. Okay. Inhale, exhale, push. When you try to keep your wrists flexed and you drive the weight through the pinky, it will actually tackle that tricep a little bit more. Here we go. Last 5. Push, 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 navel to spine. 4. As you go and you're almost extended, see if you can rock your shoulder blades round and back. 3. Inhale, press, squeeze it. 2. Last one. This super slow motion gets you pinching and squeezing out the very last little bit of extension, and release. Stand up, back to feet moving. So can we get into a little bit of our modified jumping jack, right? Which is this. The modification can have you totally no bounce, or you bounce. We're going to go into fuller jack if you're able to have more bounce. So if you want to stay modified, you just keep doing alternating leg, right? If you can do a little bit more, drive it, jump it back, drive, jump. 5, 4, 3, 2, release, back to jog. I forgot to tell Alexa to drop the temperature. I'm sweating. Push, push, push. All right, so I did get this online. I'm a horrible shopper. If we were going by the Project 333, this would go in the discard pile. I didn't know until I put it on and tried to wear it whether or not I would like it. I mean, I kind of liked the color, but then I felt like there's something wrong with it. It's too blousy. It's just too blousy, and I know that the size down would be too tight. So this may go immediately in the discard pile. And release. Grab heavier dumbbells. What are we doing? How about a little bicep curl? There's a lot to take into consideration when you have a part that doesn't feel really strong. So, I asked Linda about how's her hip doing, right? Sometimes just like out of nowhere, you'll end up with a sensation that you're not used to having. You're hopeful that a few days of rest will right the equation for yourself. And with all of the single leg stance work that we do, sometimes that triggers, an overuse of that muscle if it's already slightly compromised. So as we go forward into single leg stance, you might not be able to do both legs. You might just have to keep repeating the same leg or stay evenly loaded so you don't feel like you're taxing your parts. Release. Here we go. With your weight, step in, balance. Step back, switch legs. Step in, pull up into balance. How are you doing? I don't want to assume that this is too easy, okay? So if you're struggling with just this alone, just trying to hold your balance for a couple of seconds, then you don't need to go any further and you're just going to keep trying to do this. If you can go more, then what I want you to do is pull the knee up higher, add a bicep curl, release, step back, switch legs. Step in, figure out your nice stance, pull the knee up high, belly to spine, nice hamstring, right? So where's the hamstring coming into here? In a moment, pull. When we get our arms holding in bicep curl mode, we're also going to go into forward hinge tip. So here we go. Pause if you're with me. We're only going to do a couple. So keep the weights right here. Drive the weight back. It's really hard because it takes grip strength to keep your weights pulled in, stretch the leg back, right? Push, push, push the leg, push the leg. The elbows are pulled back. Draw your body up, step back. You can release the arms, other leg. You're just doing one of each. Step in, balance yourself, go into it's called a hammer curl. You're holding, the shoulders are down and the elbows are retracted. If that's not your constant steady state, then as soon as you start your forward hinge, something really strange is going to happen through the arms. Pull the elbows back towards the ceiling. And now reach that extended leg straight back, even though you can't see my leg probably, right? Because you're in your own forward tip. Shoulder blades are pulled back. Your elbows are as high as your trunk. Pull up, release, relax, walk it out. Set your weights down, grab a little drink. We're going to go to the floor, not to stay down though. We're going to get down and get back up. We're going to do just a little bit of abs. If you want to put your mat down, you can. Okay. So Peggy, you may not be able to see it, but this is a little gadget that you're supposed to be able to put your phone in. I actually thought, oh, it might even hold my iPad. The little gadget has an auto tracking. It face tracks, right? So this little thing here, it actually mechanically moves and it follows you. So I bought it, come down, because I thought, oh, that might be an interesting tool if I'm out and right, like where could I put that and have a class like where it follows me. So I set it up yesterday, seated, phenomenal abdominals, think about them. Don't lay all the way back, just get yourself seated. You have options. If you're really sensitive back here through the sacrum and the coccyx area, then you're not going to be able to maintain proper C without really feeling weird. So you're going to stay more upright and you're just going to be here. Okay. For those of you that want more load, uncross your legs, recline, keeping the C curve, and twist. Any version or whatever angle you need to set yourself at so that you're not feeling stress when you go to load the right muscles. If you feel your back, then you actually do not have your spine in the right position, okay? Pull up, that'll release everything. If you're in crisscrossed ankles like this, then I want you to switch the crisscross leg. All right, back you go. If you're wanting it a little harder, if you want it even harder, pick your feet up. Okay, you can pick the feet up and you can twist your knees and have your knees go slightly off center, right? As the arms are working. 5 and 4, 3, 2, release, relax, rolling yourself to primal movement pattern, hands and knees. I tell you guys that I do my pool training, which I did not get this weekend. So we're all going to start in our most basic position, tabletop spine. So your hands are set right under your shoulders, your knees are right under your hips. And I don't know which direction you're moving your body, but I'm going to move mine to the right. So here's what has to happen. The left knee and the right hand pick up. You decide. It's opposite. So if you're moving to the left, you're using your right knee off the floor and your left hand off the floor. So put it down, pick it up. When the opposite hand lifts, or when the knee lifts, the opposite hand to it lifts, and then they set down at the same time. Walk. This is your lateral walk. Now, stop, go back to the other side. Go the way you came. Don't do the hand and then the knee and then the hand and the knee. The halves need to pick up and set down simultaneously, right? And now you should be back where you started. And now we're going to move forward, opposite hand to knee. The knee will drive really close to the hand that's on the floor. So we're staying in a tight pattern, opposite hand and knee, touch, back it up. Keep your movement really snug so that you're not overreaching, okay? And now take a little sit down for a moment. That's primal movement pattern 101, nice and simple. And now, where does that pertain to? As I said, you know I do my swimming. So in the pool, I got this nice long ledge. I literally put my fingers on the ledge and my toes on the side wall of the pool, and I do my primal movement patterns in the pool, suspended, but my fingers have to grip. I stay really close to the pool. My knee is practically touching the side edge of the pool, and I move all the way down and come all the way back. If you have a pool accessible to you, there's a lot of ways that you can do things like this, unloaded on the wrist, but still strengthen yourself. Round number 2, pick your knees up off the floor. Oh my goodness. Maybe you have to go into knuckle down in order to be able to be here. The higher the knees are off the floor, the less control you have of your body. Get down. Opposite foot to hand. Opposite foot to hand. Keep your pattern tight. Go back. Opposite foot in hand. And if this feels really awkward to you, then you slow yourself down until you get the right or the correct touchdown. Sit back. Sometimes after like 2 or 3 repetitions, your body will revert to an incorrect pattern. As soon as you notice that you're doing same side arm and leg moving, you have to stop and shut it down, because we're not trying to train that. We're trying to train opposites. Ready? Forward and back. Set it up, whether you're flat hands or knuckles down, knees off the floor. If you can't handle this, then go back to knees on the floor and do it the way we did the first set. Pop it up, opposite foot, push. Everything's tight. S-curve spine, your tabletop back. Back it up. 5, 4, 3, 2, touchdown, stretch it out. You're going to flip yourself over and do your abs again. Your legs could be straight. Could do it just like that. Big twist. I'm going to go ahead and bend. Get into C curve. You can recline as far as your body will let you go. Right? How far? How far is that? And then if you're like, oh my gosh, I just can't stay there, then don't. Pull yourself back up and go, oh, that feels better. And then go, yeah, but that's too easy. Take it back down if you can, right? Here we go. Push the elbows. If you're here with me, we've traded our hands, right? And we're now trying to bumper the elbow back. Feet off the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, release. Can you get up? Some version of getting up without using your hands. Right? Shake it out. Work around your space a little bit. We're going to be doing biceps, triceps, shoulders, squats, a little bit of our step back lunge. We got a lot to do yet. Okay. So back into your modified jack, push, push. If you want more jack, but less leg, then pull your arms into it, right? So, or you can stay both halves doing something that just is a little less than. And if you want more impact, push, pull, push, pull, right? There's 3 of 10, 4, 5, 6. I'm intentionally doing this little plie squats. 9. Release, come up. You're in your clock. Step into the clock. I want you to think, say, somewhere between the 4 and 5 o'clock, right? And the, how do we say this? And the 8 and 7 o'clock, looking at the clock dial from the backwards, right? So it doesn't matter which direction you start, but just like we did last week, pick up a leg, direct your body, step out, absorb it. Your anchor leg stays straight, push back. If you can't get back in one nice long pushback stride, then you've taken too great of a leg stride. So direct your hip line, the knees follow, push, twist. Maybe you need to step out a little bit to teach yourself how to get the length of the movement. Because when you rotate, if you all will just break this down with me and go slow, okay? So initiate your step, do a couple of extra little incremental steps, because that should feel really good. And then power drive yourself back, right? Step. You're in a rotation. When that trailing leg, okay, it turns into your lead leg. When your stepping leg finally does commit to being the worker and you go into the lunge, that knee, your legs need to be far enough apart so that your foot stays flat. It's no longer really about does your knee push over your toes, because that's not necessarily a bad position. Part of it is you figuring out, all right, now we're in it. Your body's kind of going, okay, I'm ready to charge. It's ready to work. Front leg needs to straighten, back leg receives. 4, 3. And if you're not in full lunge, don't worry about it. 2, release, relax, shake it out, work yourself around to your weights, maybe your water bottle. We are going to be using our little elastic bands. So go for your heavier weights, walk yourself back, start your alternating arm bicep curl. If you had, my brain is always thinking about trying to create a thought that lets you know precisely where I think your body should be. So if you had this little cup, this little shaped like C or U cup right off the side of your body, you would want to try to cinch your arm back into it. Instead of thinking about pulling the weight up, why not have your thought be, how do I keep my elbow pushing back while I'm pulling the dumbbell towards my shoulder? There is a sweet spot, a proper range of motion. And if your elbow tracks behind your body, then it's pushed the cup off of the edge of your side body line. So though we're working the long muscle from the top of the shoulder to the inside of the elbow, your postural muscles, they're called your stabilizers. They play a huge role in how your arm is tracking. And if you're only thinking about lifting the weight, then that means your shoulder isn't stabilizing properly. 5, 4, 3, 2, release the arms, deadlift, hip hinge, feet about hip width apart. When you pull yourself up, slide the hands back to the mid body, right? Squeeze the parts. Take the stretch, tabletop spine, pull it up, slide the arms back. Everything's in line with the mid body. Hinge. When you start your forward fold, the inclination is to keep your head up and reach the head forward like you're jutting your chin out. Try to flatten out. Let the neck be neutral to the rest of your spine, right? You can go deeper than mid-thigh if you can keep your back in its S curve, right? And the rest of your neck where it needs to be. How much do you have to gain by going deeper? Is the risk pretty great? The deeper you go, it is. So I'd rather see you stay a little bit shy of what you think is your full range. Don't test the water. Like, don't try to do a greater range loaded. You could always start teaching yourself a deeper range, right? Without any weight in your hands. Make this next one right here your last one when you come up. Now, going into your tricep, you're only going to need one of your heavy weights, and you're going to hold the ends of that heavy weight. Okay. If you've got 3-pounders, if you've got 5-pounders, I wouldn't really consider those heavy. This is a 7.5, and I could overhead do with both arms working 7.5, but I don't need to. So I'm using one heavy weight. If you've got a 10-pounder or a 12-pounder, that will definitely be sufficient. When we go to our tricep kickback, then we'll go back to each hand holding a weight. Okay. So you can move your legs. You can get one foot as your dominant leg. The other foot is your assist leg, belly to spine. Push, 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 push. So even though my weight isn't probably in the screen, right? I want you to try to, if you're using 2 of your dumbbells instead of the one heavy, try not to rock the thumbs towards the ceiling. Keep pressing the pinky edge of your hands up. Push, push, push. One more. Inhale, exhale on the drive. Bring the weight down. Now, grab the other weight. This is going to be the hard part. So if you're staying with your heavies and you're getting ready to do tricep kickback, okay, this is going to be an alternating arm. You're assuming your crouch position. Maybe you want your chair as a support, but what's going to happen is you're going to row and you're going to kick back and then release it. And other arm. Give me your subscap retraction. Elbow comes up. It chambers up right next to the body. Tricep kickback. Stretch it down. Shoulder blade row. Push. Inhale up. Exhale on extension. Release. Push. So the extension should be quite the challenge if you've really committed to using your heavier weight, right? If you're heavier than probably 5 or 6 pounds, it might not even be a doable movement. Here we go. Big squeeze. Push. Inhale down. Exhale on the up. Drive it. Do one more. One more each arm, that is. Power up. Push. So your back is maintaining. Release, relax, stand up. You were just maintaining your deadlift hold position. Back to your feet moving, and then we're going to hit the floor. So we got about a minute of something like this. If you want to walk on your space, you could sit down, take a break, right? My my pants were Amazon too. Starry. They've got the pockets in them, which is pretty cool. I will say that they're certainly not Lululemon. However, for 20 bucks, I'm going to wear the heck out of them. Shake it, shake it, shake it. I love Lululemon. It's probably a good thing that Lululemon isn't like close by, because frankly, I could get Lululemon online, but I never really know what size I am. This is the problem. I never know what size I am. It's not only Lululemon, it's in general. And though I know my measurements, when I go onto the size chart, shake it out, release, relax, grab your mat, a quick drink, and your elastic band. When I reference the sizing chart for the garment, I know my actual measurement, but it's never, when I buy a garment based on what the size chart says I should be buying, it never feels right. So when I go into a store like Lululemon and they're like, well, what size are you? I'm like, well, I'm that. And they're like, well, there's no way you're that. And I'm like, you know what you want your stuff to feel like when it's on your body. So this is what makes shopping quite a challenge for me. Yep. I was at Nature's Food Patch last week, and that's a little health food store here. But it's quite a nice health food store. I mean, they've got everything under the sun, right? They even have some clothes. And I found this cute little wrap dress, but it's a health food store. They don't have like a changing room, not that I would have tried it on anyway. So I bought this little dress to go to South Florida with so that I'd have a new little dress to wear. And I had my fingers crossed. Dress would actually, it was a wrap dress, so I knew it had to fit. I just didn't know like if it was going to be how it would really fit me. Okay, but that was the dress that I took to wear to Brenda's birthday party. So I was putting a lot of faith in the fact that I could just buy this dress and wear it, and I did. And it could have, it could have handled a few little tweaks, but it was just fine. And I thought, that's like a first for me to actually be able to buy a garment, right? A dress nonetheless, off a hanger, put it on and go, okay, I'm ready to go. Few and far between. Your legs are up if you can handle the extra ab work. Your shoulders are out of your ears. You are reaching a nice full stretch, which is called your protraction position. As you start sliding the shoulder blades down, pull on the band, getting that band into T line. You might be able to pull all the way down until you feel the hand connect with the floor. And it would be like, I'm not actually feeling my hand touch the floor, I'm feeling the band hit, but certainly I'm connected. Inhale up, full reach, shoulder blade retraction, open it up, keep squeezing across the upper middle back. Now, on this next down, we're going to stay opened. And if you can't stay all the way open to full T, that's fine. You just, as your arms fatigue, you adjust your angle. But I want the legs up, separated. Think Pilates. The toes are reaching and then the heels are turned in. And you're going to make this really small circle. Belly to spine, squeeze the derriere, which is really hard to do when your legs are up. And now the great thing about using the band and just holding static tension line is two things. You're getting grip strength, so you should feel like your hands are fatiguing as well. And we're only going to hold this for a few more seconds. Keep your legs going and start releasing the arms. And the arms are now straight up. You can release your grip enough so that you don't feel like your hands are working. And I want you to reverse your leg circles. If you have to set your band down so that your hands can guide your legs, then do that, right? But if you don't need to, then the arms are staying up and we're just fixated looking at our legs to make sure that our head isn't floating back into the wrong space. Look and see how straight your legs are. Belly to spine. Keep going with the legs. Let's all set the band off to the side. Try not to throw your body out of its rhythm. You can put your fingers touching each other across your abdomen. And now open and close the legs. Nice and straight. All right, squeeze them up. If you keep feeling like you need to set your legs down, then take your hands, wrap your hands around the backs of the thighs and help them track and keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now, crisscross your ankles, bend the legs, raise your head. Try to roll your body nice and tight. Can you get your hands to your feet? They're not going to stay there, but this is an assist for getting the legs tucked under you. So maybe you can only hold on to your big toe as the legs start coming down, and then the feet hit the floor, and you get to let go of the legs, and the knees float open, and now you're getting a nice gentle stretch through your adductors. As you're situated here, the chin is drawn to the chest, right? Don't worry about whether or not your back is being mashed to the floor. I just want you to allow the legs to recover. So that was really good inner thigh work. And we're going to do a little bit on the outer thigh and hip. More of what's called the glute medius than the abductor, okay? If that gives you any point of reference. So now, fold the knees up, pull the belly in, right? Uncross the legs and then switch the crisscross the other way. If it's really challenging for you to get your hands to your feet, then pick up your head, right? So I've got my big toes. We're working the stretch. Fold the feet down, spread the knees, squeeze the buns just to make sure everything gets back in line. Reset your neck position to get you a little more stretch. If you will work your arms up at an angle and then try to slide the shoulder blades down, the arms are going to be bent, but you should feel like the majority of your contact points is all like the outside of the arm, right? The back of the hand, the forearm, the elbow, the shoulder blades are flush. If you squeeze your buns, you'll even feel more stretch through that joint at that hip crease. Now, relax the buns. So we're going to tighten the abs, bring the knees up to unfold. Help yourself over to the side. Get just comfortably on your side. And if your shoulder doesn't like it, then you'll definitely need your pillow, right? Your arm would just be bent and that pillow would be slid up against the shoulder so that your head had a comfortable support. Now, we're going to not be working the abductor, which is around the side of the leg, we're going to hit a very specific spot in the derriere, and that's called your glute medius. So the bottom leg is going to stay bent and tucked up. The top leg is going to extend, and you're going to try to roll your body forward. That is to get your hips stacked. So just get your head resting. Start by flexing the foot. See if you can tap the toe to the floor, but with a flexed foot. Now, the movement is very small. You're going to be lifting, and we want to lift with a push back position. Inhale down, exhale up, press the heel back. Imagine that there's a wall behind you and it's just a little bit away from you. Press it. And the interesting thing here is that your leg actually has more straightening to do. And it's only when you get up and into that little pushback position that if you try to make your leg straighter, you'll find that the knee actually will extend more. So belly to spine. Don't try to thrust the leg back. It's lifting and driving at the same time. So I sometimes see people lift the leg and then slide the leg back and let it come forward and down. Don't make it a four-part movement. It's up and back, and then it's diagonally set at its start position. All right, get 5 more. 5, because right from here, we're going to go into our quad stretch. 4, really keep the toes pointed down. 3, 2, and now, taking all the pressure off of that leg, let the knee come forward. Can you get hold of the foot? Rock it back, angle the knee down. If you want more stretch, take the bottom foot, press it against the front of that thigh. The bottom leg is being used to drive both legs back, and you're going to static hold into pelvic tilt. Nice. Now, release the foot, press yourself up, swivel, other side. This little move is really important. For anybody that I've done like back rehab work on, this movement is generally in for knee strengthening and back rehab. The setup for it with your bottom leg bent, okay, is probably it's harder to get into the right setup than it would seem like it should be, okay? So with your head off the floor, you should be able to see the working foot. And now tip the toes down and draw the foot into flexed position. So that's your start point. Once you feel like your flexed foot toe down, then you can set your head back down. And now just start your little lifts. What happens is this working leg kind of wants to migrate forward of the hip line. And that is why we want to lift and slightly push the leg back to make sure that it's not coming forward of our mid body line. And now for the next piece. Anytime the leg moves behind the midline of the body is when the low back, unless you're holding your pelvic tilt, when your leg pushes back, you might be crimping the lumbar. And it's crucial that you try to maintain your pelvic tilt while you're driving your leg on its rear trajectory. Okay. So, thinking about how complex our movements are and how easily the body falls out of the right position is what it doesn't scare me, but it always makes me question classes that are just going for the numbers, the number, like we're going to do X number of repetitions. Sometimes I count. More often than not, you guys are going to do, generally not more than 20 of something, because I'm going to have you do it so slow that you might even feel impatient with the slow range of motion. But the slow range of motion is going to enable you to go, oh, is my knee extended, right? Is my belly pulled in and my knee extended? Go again. Is my knee extended, belly pulled in, and my butt cheek tight? Go again. Is my knee extended, belly pulled in, butt cheek tight, foot flexed? You literally have to slow the repetition down to go through the checklist and release. Grab for quadricep stretch. That should just feel fantastic. If you're able to get your foot, right? If you're not, like, what if you can get your foot, but you can't really get your knee back? Then this is your start position, because what keeps you from being able to rock back? I don't know. Now, on your next pushback, pause, because we're not necessarily trying to touch the heel to your bum. Allow your arm its length. Use the bottom foot, give it a little drive. Remember, once you set the bottom foot up and you take the drive back, you then need to take all of this front body, which is kind of it's changed positions to help you get the rock back, but now we have to reset it. And why do we have to reset it? Because we push the leg back beyond the midline. And as soon as you do that, the back wants to crimp. You've got to go back into your pelvic tilt. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Face down. Get yourself into your cobra press away. You can start modified on elbows. We're going to be working ourselves up. Wiggle the hips, make sure everything feels like what's where it needs to be before we start loading it even more. Shoulders out of the ears, buns tight. Really feel yourself get your pubic bone pressing and anchored to the floor, and then press up. Shoulders out of the ears. Oh, fabulous. So bring the elbows down. Tuck the elbows into the body just to give yourself a little help to press up. Start your sit back. Regardless of whether or not your hips or the knees let you come all the way down to buns and feet touching, you can reach those arms out and get a really nice stretch through your lats. If your hips have naturally just glided back to all the way sit position, the upper body is still doing the same thing as the other version. And now pull your navel in, start letting the hands walk back towards the knees, rounded spine. Take your feet, stub the toes, press up to downward dog. Feel yourself get into your best version of S curve, and then walk the hands back until you are balanced on your feet. Bend your legs, come down nice and low. So I'm working my feet. This is what we're finishing with. I'm working my feet further apart to help me get my hips lower, right? The wider I get my feet, I'll be able to draw my hips a little bit lower. And just hang out there for a second. And then re-straighten the legs a little bit and then roll yourself up. That was one little extra bonus of your adductor stretch. Finishing with your nice deep breath in. Exhale, release. Whew. Job well done. Okay, a nice hour spent getting your body prepped for the rest